Most of solo ganking right now is using invisibility potions to sneak up on somebody who's dismounted and catching them before they can mount up. Now, invisibility potions are pretty overpowered right now for that reason, meaning you can basically catch somebody without them ever seeing you. You can invis from off their screen and catch them, so they will very, very likely be nerfed sometime in the future when SBI gets around to it. So before that happens, I thought I would take it to its logical endpoint, and instead of just casually catching someone and ganking them after popping it of invis, I'm just going to one-shot them. So to start us off, I just went with the all-time classic one-shot weapon in the one-shot crossbow. Next, I found a solo dungeon in the roads and tried to dive. It turns out there was 2 people inside, and unfortunately, one of them had the red buff, which made this fight pretty difficult. Luckily, I had chosen the undead cape for my cape, so I was able to clutch it out with that invis, and the other guy just ran away too scared to re-engage. Now, the one-shot crossbow has a lot of setup to its one-shot, so I wanted to try something that was more instant, so I went with the Dagger Pair. It is definitely much more satisfying when they just blow up out of nowhere from stealth. Unfortunately, the one thing that Dagger Pair struggles at is a lot of its damage is damage over time, so if they do something like have a Cleric Robe, you're not quite going to be able to one-shot them. But either way, even if they have something to sort of address the damage over time, you still just do so much damage out of stealth that it makes it really hard to fight back. Honestly, this whole burst damage out of invis using the invisibility potion to gap close really should be changed quickly, as it's not fun or interactive. You can see I literally forgot to stack my Qs going up against this guy, and I still brought him down super low. If you are going to abuse this before they eventually nerf it, which I hope they will, one of the really nice things is you can invis pot onto chests like this medium chest here that I did, and you don't even have to check it out beforehand. If there's a large group there, you can just turn around and mount back up with that invis, but if there's no one there, you just kind of get a chest for free, which is super nice. You usually wouldn't get these. Now, wanting to try some more weapons with this strategy, I switched over to the Hellfire Hands. First guy I found was in plate armor, so I wasn't sure how well this would go, but turns out you just do so much damage it doesn't even matter. I mean, look at this clip. This guy's a tier 8 gatherer, and I don't even wait for all the stacks of my assassin jacket by accident, and I still basically one-shot him. He escapes with just 46 HP. Now, some of my biggest kills from soul ganking always come from these random people who I find in unfortunate situations. Like this guy who is struggling to kill this boss. Now, the one bad thing about chaining the invisibility potions into the assassin jacket is if you want to wait for the damage on the assassin jacket, it ramps up over time, meaning you have to wait longer to hit your full damage. So if you're ganking something like a gatherer here, they might finish their node and mount up before your assassin jacket finishes stacking up. But turns out that doesn't even matter most of the time anyways, because, well, it turns out that minor work boots are a pretty good counter for minor work boots. Lastly, for weapons, I tried the Spirit Hunter. I thought it might be okay, but it really wasn't as successful as the other 3 weapons. The problem is, if you're using the Assassin Jacket to chain out of the Invis Potion and for your damage amp, so the way the Assassin Jacket works is after that Invis ends, or as you break it, the first damage instance that you do on an enemy will be buffed from that Assassin Jacket buff. It goes up to 40%, it's a really big damage amp, but it only affects the first ability. So for the Dagger Pair, it would be your Dagger Pair E. For the Hellfire Hands, it would be the Boulder. All 3 boulders get that damage boost and the damage over time after. But for the Spirit Hunter, only my E will get the damage boost and not my E and the W. So any weapons like the Spirit Hunter here that have their damage split between multiple abilities, like the E and the W and then the Qs, will do a little bit less or be a little bit less effective with this Assassin Jacket method. Now, the Black Sun was a little bit dead for me. I was struggling to find content, so I decided to switch things up and go with a 4.1 Hellfire Hands build into the red zone and do some classic red zone ganking. See if I could one-shot some people with a little bit more damage amp on my build in 4.1. And as you can see, it was definitely gonna work. Hell, you can even see in this 2v1 against people much higher tier gear than me, this combo just does so much damage with a little bit of damage amp. I hope you like that 1v2 because now I present you with one of the ugliest ganks of all time. I mean, I literally walk up to this guy and just dismount him. Luckily though, if you're ganking a gather, it doesn't matter how many combos you miss. If they use their boots and don't escape with them, they're pretty much just dead. Next, we can see that this build might have some potential in Corrupted Dungeons, as this Corrupted Dungeoner decides to try and fight me after he finishes his dungeon. To end this video off, we just have a very weird sequence of events. So first off, I find these 2 bear paw guys and decide to try and fight them. Honestly, still blows my mind how close these fights are. Hellfire Hands definitely have more potential than people give them credit for. Anyways, I go back to see if I can scoop up the loot if they weren't partied and looted each other, and I happen to notice this legendary enchanted dungeon along the way. Turns out the bodies were already looted, so I went back to the dungeon to see what was going on. Sadly, this last guy had zoned in at the worst possible time, and I got in combat with him by accident as I was killing the other guy, so I was bound to die as well. Anyways, that's all the clips I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this style of ganking, and you can try it out yourself before it gets absolutely gutted by SBI, and I will see you in the next one.